Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time is finally here. Callisto Protocol is out, and it had this weird run-up where the embargo for release was essentially when the game comes out at midnight, but they did send over a copy early for me to check out, and I thought we would do my typical immediate thoughts on the game. And essentially, I'm going to give it about an hour or so where I play some of the game and just give you guys my immediate thoughts on it. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you like it and subscribe if you're new. So I do have the headphones on for this one. Figure I'll try to get the whole experience, as obviously we're trying to build up this horror-like environment in Callisto Protocol. And let's see, real quick, I want to check out the options. There's a lot when it comes to accessibility, it looks like, which is great there. Subtitles, turn those on, and I'm gonna go to gameplay, just kind of showing off some of the different options we have here. Graphics, I am gonna put this into performance mode. As you guys know, I prefer to have the better frame rate. Basically across the board, I'll give up some of the resolution and to make the game look a bit better. I'd rather have the higher frame rate. So I did obviously enjoy Dead Space back in the day, like many people did, and Glenn Schofield doing Callisto Protocol, of course, one of the big leads, the big driving forces behind that original Dead Space game. I was very curious how Callisto Protocol was going to turn out when he has his own studio and is able to do his own vision for what a survival horror style game would be that, yeah, closely mimics Dead Space. Let's be real. You kind of see Callisto Protocol, some of the gameplay, the environment, everything. Yeah, it feels like a Dead Space spiritual successor. But it's an exciting time to be a horror fan right now. This, then Dead Space Remake, then Resident Evil 4. So what a good way to kind of kick off the 3 or 4 months of horror season here. We're still in the initial cutscene, but visually it is pretty impressive looking right now. It is done on Unreal Engine 4. I mean, we'll see when we get into gameplay, but you can see the typical beads of sweat and all of this that are emphasized on the character models. All right, we're right into gameplay, about 3 or 4 minutes in, and we're already controlling the character here, so not too bad. Just to kind of set up the story, I prefer games like these kind of be set up because you know you're going to get that sort of slow opening until everything goes wrong and you somehow get thrusted into, I mean, in this case, a situation where you're in space by yourself, which, again, plays into the horror scene really well. But I'd prefer to play through those story elements, even though it's going to feel, especially in the beginning, kind of on rails as it sort of pushes you towards certain spots to tell the story, but I'd prefer to control rather than watch a cutscene. The lighting in particular is probably what I've noticed the most so far in the beginning when it comes to the visuals. I mean, yeah, the character models look great and all what they've shown, but the lighting, though, for a game that's clearly going to be relying heavily on dark spaces with maybe 1 or 2 lights, it looks pretty good.
All right, well, we can get your ass back up here and watch your back. You know, they could be anywhere.
They're doing that thing where your walkie-talkie comes through your PS5 controller speaker. I like how tense they make this whole part of like these games where they have kind of the set pieces, because all I'm really doing is just holding up on the thumbstick. They make it look really dramatic. They've done a pretty good job getting everything started rather than spend maybe 30 minutes on a pretty slow opening. It was probably 5 or 6 minutes and action started happening. Consequential events happen without spoiling too much there. I've kind of jumped around through some of these cutscenes because like parts of that were pretty cool to experience for the first time. So we've essentially established and set up our main character here. All right, so things accelerated very, very quickly there to get my character into this prison set up with a device on their neck. It was jumping around pretty quickly through into a dream sequence, but finally I'm here to where it looks like the prison got ransacked or hit pretty hard. Now, I haven't run into anything that I've actually fought off or any of that yet, so it has kind of been still kind of pushing me through the story, through cutscenes and sort of these walking bits. Okay, so I have a weapon now. I got a little shiv that was a wrench. I have to try to free this guy, so I am at least getting through to some action now. Just took a bit of setup, them jumping around in the story here and there, but I think finally, rough 20 minutes in, we're about to about to see some action. And I guess all things considered, that's not too bad since they set up the story, the main character, put him in their setting, and then had things go wrong in that time. Generally, with what we've seen from larger games now, it'll take like an hour, sometimes 2 hours before things actually get moving. Oh, got some quick time events here. You're dodging left and right. Oh, okay. Oh, you hit triangle a lot. Makes me feel like I'm doing stuff. There we go. Oh, hold left. Melee attack. There we go. Oh. Ow. Hello, age restriction. There we go. Oh. Triangle. A lot of triangle. Well, I have a weapon now. It's like a pickaxe looking thing. Fighting off this abomination. Oh, look at that. Their arm, like, completely popped off. That's... Wow, that was... Actually, okay, so we have like body damage and stuff happening here. I feel like that was something else that came up in the previews. The enemies had complete like different parts of body damage and stuff to them, depending on where you hit them or what exactly. If you have a gun, you shoot off different parts, maybe the leg and stuff. So that could add to some pretty good strategy going forward. I mean, it wouldn't be a Dead Space-like game without the big stomp like that. Hold down or back to block attacks. Interesting. That's different. Usually you just hold a button, but you have to hold back? Huh. Makes me wonder if it's going to be more one-on-one kind of encounters like this, because I don't really know how you block or hold back if there are multiple enemies necessarily, like if you have one behind you and one in front of you. Normally, we would have a button for block, so that's a little different. Might take some getting used to on that one. So now I'm down in solitary, and this feels like the first actual like horror environment where you feel very alone. They're trying to do things with some of the audio and like the sides of your head and the back behind you and stuff. So this is probably a game you're going to want to have a nice pair of headphones. Maybe if you have like, if you're on the PS5, maybe the PlayStation headphones that they have, the nice ones, because it seems like this would be playing into the 3D audio really well. Okay, see, this is a really good use of the audio, because like I kind of hear things banging around in the wall and in the floor just now, and they kept circling around me. So this is really cool. I hope that's something that they use as they go along in this game, because that was, I feel like, one of the big features they discussed with 3D audio was for like a horror game like this. At least that's what came to my mind at first. Just trying to make it feel like something's right behind you. I am noticing though, because I have to hold down the block, it does make me not get too overly aggressive with my combos and just start trying to mash attack over and over and over again. Because you do have to kind of stop and then reset and press down. Otherwise, it will catch you before you get a chance to block. So again, it does add some strategy and maybe some thoughtfulness to the combat. I have noticed, though, so far, the game itself feels slower. Like, the movement is slower. The action is slower in terms of, okay, I'm going to press a button and my character will do this on screen. I feel like that is purposeful because it's a survival horror-style game, right? But just be aware, this isn't exactly lined up to where it's Devil May Cry or something like that. That has custom death animation written all over it with those spinning blades. All right, let's see if we can turn those off. Well, I found this stun baton is on a security guard that didn't quite make it. And I'm noticing that there is some use of the adaptive triggers here. And it's not just I guess the travel of it, because it was kind of feeling like it had some resistance towards the back end when I was just pressing it. It's using sort of the haptic feedback along with it, so you do kind of get this vibration through the trigger itself. Okay, here we go. Hit this guy with it. Yeah, the idea, it looks like, is when you hit them with it, it sort of sends a little bit of a vibration through, so it feels like how the stun baton has like I guess some of the electricity to it. I do like that. That's kind of a unique feeling to the stun baton versus the big pickaxe I was using. I am almost an hour in, and I haven't had any major jump scares or any of that, which this isn't necessarily going to be a horror game that relies on trying to do those quick scares or any of that. This certainly seems more like a game that's going to try to just present a very tense atmosphere, one that sort of keeps you on edge all the time rather than just try to have a big payoff now and then with the jump scares, and I don't mind that. You can also dodge the different attacks that are coming in by holding left or right as opposed to blocking by holding down, and it's not timing based, so you don't have to hit left or right on the left stick at the exact point in time. Just apparently as long as you're holding left or right when an attack is coming in, you'll just dodge it, and I think that's mostly my preferred way of trying to get around some of the enemy attacks. Blocking apparently just gives you a bigger window to then start swinging back at them. So there is sort of a bit of a gambling system there when it comes to the idea of, do I want to block them, take a little damage, and then be able to hit right back, or chance it, say, if you're in a large crowd, to start dodging and just trying to time out those hits. So it just threw me a gun piece to print a gun. There's a chest here. You want to open that because it had 800 credits in it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to afford any of this. But it looks like I can buy my first gun here, the hand cannon. It'll also give me some ammo too in that chest. But it looks like we go through, we're going to be upgrading our different weapons. I assume one of those upgrade paths is for that glove that allows you to essentially like force pull and push stuff and all of that. But let's make a hand cannon here. So they're trying to set this up so that you can use melee attacks and your pistol together, which is interesting. Basically, you stun them, you'll get a little reticule that pops up, and then you press L2, at which point you'll aim automatically and shoot them. So it seems like we are building up to having different combos potentially with some of the other weapons, as right now I just have the pistol. You start mixing in things like the gravity glove and all of that, and I think the combat in this game is going to be better than I was expecting, as, again, I'm mostly expecting a horror survival style game. It does look like there's going to be quite a bit of strategic elements when it comes to the weapon choice. So that's about an hour of gameplay so far, and I'm pretty happy with what I've seen. I feel like a lot's happened in the first hour of this game, and typically I've seen games take the entire hour just to set up the story through cutscenes and really just on rails walking most times. This got to the action very quickly, and it's accelerated through the opening part to where I do feel like I'm in control of the character. I understand some of the mechanics. I've already retrieved a gun, a stun baton, met some of the different characters, and even seen some of the upgrade tree that they have for the weapons. So I'm pretty happy with what I've seen. I would like to play more of Callisto Protocol, so the first hour hasn't turned me off of the game or anything there, but it is a little slower maybe than what I was anticipating, although I guess Dead Space, it's been a while since I played Dead Space. That was kind of slower too. This just seems maybe a little more slow than that. Visually, it's impressive. I like some of the audio that I've already experienced in it, so I'm going to keep going with it and see how this turns out. I've been told it's 12 to 14 hours. So it seems like it's a pretty good length for a game like this in the horror genre. But let me know what you guys think about Callisto Protocol so far down below, whether it's from some of the gameplay here, some of your opinions and thoughts on it, or if you've picked up the game recently on release day and got a chance to play some of it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.